Welcome back, LCS fans, to what could be the final game of the lock-in tournament. Team Liquid currently leads Cloud9 2-0, and C9 has to find the answer here, Isaac, because it seems like, just like in game number 1, Team Liquid had the answers in game number 2.
I mean, no one ever comes back from a 2-0, so...
Right?
we'll see if Cloud9 can bounce back a little bit here. I want to get more games. I've been loving the series. Yes, TL has been the stronger team clearly through 2, but it has been competitive. It has been very, very exciting, and I'm hoping we're going to get even more cool picks coming into this next game because I do like the mix-ups that we have seen. Cloud9, these are the first 2 bans that they had last time. Their third was Thresh. I'm going to be interested if they go back towards that, and if TL will just leave Alphari's pick for later. They are going to mix it up, so Thresh is open. Udyr is taken away here, but that does mean Olaf and Taliyah are up right now. All TL has to do to get a trade is just not ban one of those 2. And then you get Taliyah or you get Olaf. You're going to be probably pretty happy with either of those. I would like to see C9 go towards Taliyah. I think that could really help them be able to play the map a little bit better. Maybe if you can get perks on some sort of a roamer and then grab Taliyah for yourself here, grab some sort of lockdown on Vulcan as well as Fudge. But they are prioritizing Olaf a lot more heavily than the Taliyah.
Okay, we got the Udyr, Camille, Renekton, Lulu, Pantheon, and Seraphine banned away here as our first 6 bans. Olaf's back on the table. Team Liquid had the answer last time. They were able to play around it despite all the support that it had. With the Thresh not banned away, they're picking that one up. And okay, we got Graves in the jungle here as the answer. How do we feel about this, Isaac?
I mean, I think it's pretty strong. It seems like it's more about the pick into Olaf than it is about the strength of the champion to me, because I do think that Taliyah is a stronger champion right now, but is more susceptible to just getting ran down by someone like the Olaf, especially post-6, when you can just pop the Ragnarok and kind of just charge in at the Taliyah. So it's fairly safe. It gives you an AD jungle option, allows you to go AP with your mid laner without being over-indexed on that. So everything looking pretty comfortable here. C9 going back towards the Senna TK. I like the Thresh. Thresh in general, I think, is actually pretty strong into Olaf, because one of the reasons that I really like this, people say, well, yeah, you can just pop the Ragnarok and just run past the Thresh. Yes, that's true, but what often happens is a lot of good Thresh players will actually position themselves past the Olaf, drop the box in between the Olaf and the rest of his team, and then what happens is that Olaf ends up getting separated and focused down by everyone else, because people cannot get through the Thresh box, through the Flay and the hook and everything, to be able to actually deal with that in a team fight and catch up with the Olaf. And also, for the laning phase, anytime Olaf is on your side of the map, if your jungler is doing a good job tracking him, you just stand back behind your Aphelios, ready with the Lantern, and those ganks won't be very effective.
And we know what can happen if Aphelios gets fed. Any melee champion running into range of him can be absolutely destroyed if he has the right guns. So we'll see how this works, because right now Cloud9 is running it back. They've got the Olaf, they've got the Senna, they've got the Tahm Kench. They don't believe that the problem was their draft last time around. These champions are looking very similar. Cloud9, of course, Team Liquid, not matching the same thing. Very different draft coming out from them, with TF and Karma both banned away. Okay, so this time, they got rid of the Lulu and they got rid of the Karma. They're saying, Fudge, you must play something that is not a support versus Alphari. You must meet him in Mortal Kombat.
You can still play Ivern top. People are playing that these days. So if he really wants to go Moonstone here, if his heart is set on Moonstone, you can go towards Ivern top. I do think that would be risky. You know, Syndra is open here. Orianna Azir banned away. It feels like somewhat of a logical pick when you do have an AD jungler, because Jensen is pretty comfortable on this. I'm really going to be interested to see what Cloud9 goes towards in the top lane, though, with the 2 most meta Moonstone top laners banned out in the Karma and the Lulu, with Alphari having counterpick and less bans have been spent on him this time around. It does feel difficult, so I'm expecting them to go towards something like a tank. Maybe you go Ornn, maybe you go, like Malphite, or even like a Sion or something. I wouldn't mind. I think those could be pretty reasonable, because I just can't see them, based on how the series has been going for a carry here and expecting it to go well when Alphari has counterpick and is willing. Mort could make sense as well. But Mort can get slammed by Jax, actually, so I don't like that. I wouldn't be a fan of that. I'd rather him just go pure tank and just kind of like take the L and try to be ready for team fighting time.
Okay, there it is. There's your Malphite. Solid tank in the top side. Doesn't matter if you're down 30 CS. You could always be relevant in the team fight with a well-placed ulti.
So, I mean, the scary thing now is you could run into an AP matchup where you want to be building armor on the Malphite. That's always difficult. GP is always a pretty strong answer if you want to play towards bot side. You just kind of farm off the Malphite. You're not really at risk of dying in the 1v1. I think both of those could make sense. If you really want to slam it, a lot of people in solo queue would go like a Vladimir or something like that. Can be pretty aggressive, but it is GP. I think it makes a lot of sense to be going for that sort of a direction. Allows them to play towards the Aphelios. You have really good gank assist with this Thresh. Lantern in the Graves, look for hooks, look for sort of plays, try to play around bot side, play towards that dragon take. And the other thing GP is really nice with here is that, again, this feels like a group and fight style of composition. Malphite is your go button. Olaf's running at him with the Senna shield. You maybe try to poke him out a little bit first with the Zoe, but GP can be drawing people to the side lane, and no one on Cloud9's team really wants to play side lane against that GP. So if he's actually building for that, sits in the side lane, if there is a 4v4 fight, you ult towards that 4v4. You have like the 4.5v4 then kind of on the side of TL. So I really like TL's answers here, but I do think Cloud9 has a pretty easy to execute comp, so we'll see if they'll be able to pull it off.
And I really like the fact that Team Liquid left the last pick in the draft for Alphari specifically after double banning the Moonstone champs, because they know how well he's playing. They know that the top gap is pretty significant here in this series, and they're putting it on his shoulders to be able to carry this game and end this as a 3-0. Because if Team Liquid wins here, we're done. Lock-in tournament's over. They are the champions, and they prove it. But Cloud9 sincerely wants to avoid that happening here, and now looking to bring it back here in game number 3 as we're out onto Summoner's Rift. Everything's looking pretty par for the course. Fudge has the comment on the Malphite, giving him the extra lane power. Teleports on all 4 of our solo laners this time around, but only one spellbook. This one is on perks, so we'll see how much use he can make out of that as the game goes on. Other than that, everything is pretty normal. Neither one of the AD carries felt compelled to go with a cleanse this game, so both will have heal for those clutch saves.
Going to be excited to watch this bot lane 2v2 again, because last game, though it didn't really end up mattering, Sven did have a tremendous amount of souls farmed out in that early game. I do think it's scarier to look for those early souls to pull them off of your opponents when you're against a Thresh, because not only do you have to worry about the hook, even if you're behind that minion, you could still get flayed in and look for that all-in play off of that. So we'll see if he's able to kind of keep up that really blistering pace he had as far as stacking up that passive. And up on the top side, seeing the comment on Malphite is pretty interesting. I can also see that he's gone second wind here, so trying to be able to withstand some of the grasp Qs that are going to be getting spammed out from Alphari, and see if he can have enough damage with what is likely a Q max here to be able to, or at least a few points in Q for lane, generally with Comet, to be able to try to get aggressive and out-sustain or out-damage the sustain that GP does have.
I like the late invade we're seeing here out of Cloud9, wanting to make sure that they can get in there and take something away from Santorin's Graves, and Blabber should have no issue whatsoever getting this blue buff secured for himself and his team. But Santorin, knowing that that's what's going on, he can finish picking up his red and then try to just counter-invade here, and will engage in some vertical jungling in Game 3.
Yeah, and that's really the big question is does Blabber now run over to his blue side jungle and try to defend that, right? Or is he just going to commit to the full vertical jungle? It looks like that will be the option. He now has knowledge that Santorin is going in, so he should take the wolves too. But what I wanted to kind of draw your eyes to was actually the mini-map, because Alphari was actually zoning Fudge at level 1 off of minions. He ran past that minion wave, and utilizing the Trial by Fire, that passive burn there, was actually keeping Fudge very far back. And as a result, you can now see, you know, the wave is fully stacked because he's zoned him off this. Now there is potential to actually have this be a level 3 gangplank against that level 1 Malphite. And with Graves up on this top side, you potentially could get dove. So Fudge is moving forward, trying to get some experience here. And as long as he can thin this wave out a little bit, he shouldn't be at too much risk of getting dove. But Graves is there, and you can see the pings on him.
Ping's coming through. We'll check in a moment if it turns into much. Core JJ goes for a hook, but won't hit anything there either. Santorin clears out the Gromp, but does not go for the Wolves. So it is a farm advantage for Blabber here, as he took one extra camp from his opponent.
He actually took 2 extra camps because he just stole his Raptors. So he did all 3 of his camps on the other side. Then, because they had vision on Santorin at the Gromp, he stole his Raptors before going back to his Wolves. So he's actually 2 camps ahead. Yes, Santorin is going to be going for the scuttle here, but it's interesting to see the kind of differences in priority, because for the most part, Blabber has actually been prioritizing these mini camps and has been very happy to delay his red buff and just take as many of these small camps as he can. Pilfer away those Raptors, not worried about grabbing Scuttle. You can see even now, he's not charging towards that bottom side Scuttle. He doesn't know if it's been taken yet or not. He has pushing bot lane right now, and Perks is moving down towards that river, so he should be able to actually move up and grab that second Scuttle for himself, but he's going to get a lot of extra golden experience off of this early clear, which is a very, very big deal. He's going to have an early level 5.
Especially on a champion like an Olaf, a champion that can just take over the game in the mid-game phase with proper support from his squad. You can see him just helping Perks get this wave shoved up in mid lane. This isn't a gank attempt. It's just, hey, Zoe's out of mana. We need these minions shoved up further. So he'll help him get that done as they head down into the bottom side river looking for that Scuttle Crab. It has not already been taken by Santorin, so Blabber will not get 2 crab this time around. And what you're talking about with leaving the buff up, prioritizing, having maximum rotations of getting those camps respawning as quickly as possible. Blabber's got 35 versus 19 in the farm department.
Yeah, and he has the later red buff, right? So Santorin's red buff will have expired. He'd still have his. So that means there's no chance Santorin wants to go into the river and fight someone who's 2 levels up with the red buff to boot. You can see up on that top side, Alphari has already grabbed his early Sheen here. We'll be interested to see if he just rushes towards a mythic item, because something I've actually been seeing more of in solo queue now is some sort of like Essence Reaver plays. Some people are liking going towards Essence Reaver early on. It does seem fairly strong, so we'll be interesting to see if Alphari wants to just go for more of like a standard Triforce or Divine Thunder or Rush, or if he is going to try to mix it up a little bit here with his builds.
Well, we saw previously that Alphari has no problem skipping out on a mythic item if he believes that a standard non-mythic item is better for the situation. In the Jax game, it was Blade of the Ruined King into Sterix Gage. 2 items deep and he doesn't get a mythic. As long as he thinks it's the right item for the situation, he doesn't care about the specifics of the tag on the item itself. Blabber will take the first Drake down here for his team. And there you go. First Drake 5.5 minutes in over to Cloud9.
Yep, that's looking really, really good. But I am concerned about this top lane because Fudge has already TP'd back. But he TP'd back with no consumables. And a lot of times in these Malphite matchups, what people will do is they'll go for Doran's Ring or, you know, a refillable potion or a corrupting potion or something to have some sort of sustain here. He actually hasn't gone for that. He's gone for the early Bramble, but to me, the Bramble is pretty worthless against the type of trading that you actually run into against Gangplank. It is great against the physical damage that's going to come out from Graves plus GP, but my problem with it is it's like, you're not having these long extended trades, right? You're just getting grasped Q poked over and over and over. And if you run out of mana, if you don't have enough resources to actually stay in lane and wave clear, things can get pretty rough. But because Olaf was up on the top side, Fudge didn't have to recall, and it is going to allow him to fully push out this wave. So what could have been very problematic ends up not really being a very big deal.
Jensen has Santorin near him here in the mid lane, but Perks is only just now re-arriving after he did have to go ahead and head back to base to get some shopping done. Went for the Ionian Boots of Lucidity here as his first purchase for the extra movement speed. Just drops the free exhaust there down onto Jensen, who's walking right back away. He's a little bit injured, but completely out of mana, so it's time for him to head home too.
Yep, Perks grabbing the Stride Breaker there. Could be fun to see if he can make any sort of plays.
Oh, I love the fact that Perks went after that. Jensen's thinking, I'm all the way back here. He's not going to interrupt me, but Perks is happy to take a turret shot for it just to make Jensen's life more difficult. And there he goes again. Perks gets ulted, nearly killed. He's at 50 HP. Alphari's calling in the cannons, but they don't get the kill. Zoe walks out with 20 health.
Oh my god, Perks just gets away by the skin of his teeth there. Jensen trying to bait him in, drops the ulti as soon as he goes forward, and you thought that was a kill for sure. Alphari didn't pop a Corrupting Potion charge though. I wonder, would he have had enough damage with the Corrupting Potion burn if he popped that before he ulted?
That's... I don't know. That was so close.
Very close.
Maybe we're just seeing the true mastermind that is Perks, down 0-2 in a series. He's in the moment where it has to count the most. So all that was getting 2 ultis for
the wind
free.
is coming slightly from the west at 5.4 miles an hour. Therefore, I can go forward here, and Alphari will be distracted by an owl and not pop his Corrupting Potion.
The true 5-head playing to get the ultis out of his opponent and reduce their overall threat, as Blabber is set up here in a very tricky position to potentially go for a surprise play, but Team Liquid's not going to put themselves in a spot where they can get collapsed on there. Santorin just walking back away. He's not going after the Krugs. They can smell just from Blabber's movements how strange that must have been up there. So they can assume that Blabber is hanging out nearby, and they'll go ahead and just get Santorin back towards mid.
Yep, and Blabber has done a good job protecting the Malphite. You know, it is a big CS advantage. There's even a call over on Alphari, so he's going to be printing gold as they're going to look for the kill here.
Perks.
First, no flash.
Remember, there's no ulti on the Syndra. Santorin looks for a little bit more damage. They would need it. There it is. Collateral damage gets it done, but now Cloud9's bringing in the backup. The Ragnarok is used. Jensen's running away, but the boy ain't got no way out, and Sven picks up the kill. 1-1 here on the map.
It is just that 1-for-1, though, because Santorin got out with the Lantern from CoreJJ, and those are some nice fancy feet from Perks, sidestepping as much as he could, trying to juke out, but wasn't able to avoid the ultimate coming through from Santorin to clean up that kill. Here it is one more time. As soon as he actually stepped forward here, they know they can try to look for this kill. Santorin was laying there waiting for his opportunity. And as Perks uses that R forward, in goes Santorin, smoke screen, hitting the ult, landing the autos. Perks just trying to sidestep any possible damage that could come through. He sidesteps both of the spells there from Jensen, but they spaced it out so that the Graves ultimate was going above where Jensen's spells would have been, and that way, no matter which way he went, he was going to be taken down. Cloud9 do get the counterplay, though. Cost them the ultimate from Vulcan, but it was a great roam from the bot lane, and they're able to actually get that kill over onto Sven, which is really nice.
I just like the fact that the replay was hiding out in the brushes with the camera. Felt like an Animal Planet special. Just sitting there observing what happens out in the savannah when you're on a safari, watching a couple of, what are they called, carnivore animals stalk the poor little zebra or whatever Perks is in this analogy. But Blabber's back onto the map. The boy is farming up here, grabbing the Rift Herald for his squad. Sven and Vulcan are right next to him, making sure that Cloud9 is ready if TL tries to collapse. There is not a soul in the world on this bottom half of the map, Isaac. Everybody has just abandoned that to come play around the top side right now. You can see Alphari has just gone back to the base. He'll be walking down into the bottom lane, but C9 has bodies focused into the top side here. With Fudge still around and having the ulti, they might just bait Team Liquid into a bad place. Death Sentence goes out, sidestepped away there, and Fudge is gone.
Yep, Fudge going to go back down to that bottom side. When the root landed, I actually thought he was going to go for the ultimate and try to kill off CoreJJ, but I guess they weren't convinced that they would be able to finish off the kill with Core having his flash still available, and Alphari was pushing down on the bottom side, so there's the possibility that you'd be giving up too much on the plates. Perks now, though, in trouble here.
Oh, Perks! 1v3, CoreJJ fires off the Death Sentence, and he's got him. Santorin comes through with the damage, and the Senna ult cannot keep the Cloud9 mid laner alive.
There's been a lot of pressure put here from TL towards Perks this game. They are constantly attacking him on the Zoe. He is trying to position aggressively and is actually doing very well this game in the 1v1 against Jensen. He's getting really positive trades pretty frequently, but because of that aggressive play, it's opening him up to these ganks, and TL are prioritizing vision around mid lane. You can see they have a pink ward in both of the side brushes at mid lane, and they're trying to attack from alternating angles from the bot side with Santorin previously. Now from the top side, Santorin and CoreJJ both come in, and they get the kill, they get the flash, and it doesn't even cost them a summoner.
Inferno blazes across the map after Cloud9 takes their second Drake of the game here. In this one, it's another great map for champions that do not have dashes, so Blabber on the Olaf, happy to see more of those walls removed. That hard counter to the champion disabling itself here as the Drake Soul takes over. 2-1 still our score, but a team
here comes
coming
Perks.
for Cloud9. They want to make the play on Tactical and CoreJJ. They're going for the exhaust on Tactical. He wants to get away from that one, but there's no way out. It's a big multi-man play in the top lane for the dive, and CoreJJ will be the second kill here for Perks.
And Perks gets them both. That is huge. They have the Rift Herald as well, so they're going to try to look to push for at least one tower, I would assume. With this Rift Herald being available, great job from Fudge. The patience on the ultimate to wait until after flashes had been used to commit that, because with both flashes available, if you drop that early, you could be in trouble. Perks now, though, Santorin is here again. I think Perks is just dead.
Santorin had the Gale Force to close the distance.
Oh.
Nicely done with the stasis. Santorin needs to catch back up. One more shot will do it. There you go. It was cheeky from Perks. I like the idea, but Santorin is strong enough to still get the kill.
Yeah, Perks again showing up mid lane. Santorin is there, takes him down, Does get Santorin's flash, but with that Gale Force, being able to pick up the kill and get a shutdown, because Perkz just got a double kill on the top side. So Santorin saying thank you very much for that one. The double TP play coming in here. Immediately, they drop the box, they try to retreat, but Tactical is slowed down. He knows he is going down, so doesn't even commit the flash. Then CoreJJ, who had flashed out. The ultimate was saved there by Fudge, and they are able to grab that double kill. But unfortunately for Perkz, as soon as he gets back to mid lane, dead again, gives that shutdown over to the Graves, who's already very strong. Blabber has been blasting through these camps, farming so incredibly quick, but it's actually been Santorin picking up the kills left and right, grabbing that shutdown as well. So the gold is going to be very even between them, despite how well Blabber has pathed.
Yeah, it's such a close contest here in the money because that incredible CS lead that Blabber has over Santorin. You don't normally see Graves 40 CS down, but every rule has exceptions. Top lane, it's about a similar advantage for Alphari over Fudge. And now back in bottom, Jensen's the one left to the split pushing here and now, and he will go ahead and take this tier 1 turret. That will be the first turret of the game here for Team Liquid, bringing them up to a 1,000 gold lead, but still, as you said, a super, super close game here. Tactical on the Aphelios has his Kraken Slayer. Death Sentence comes out, finds its way onto Tom Kench. CoreJJ going to be tanking up here on the front line. Jensen coming around from the side, looking for a little bit more as Vulcan gets away, but not far enough away to escape Santorin's damage. Graves is still stuck on the front line here, trying to get away as the root comes in and the damage goes out. Blabber's diving in, but the boy's going to get exploded before he finds anything. Over the wall comes Fudge for a return kill, make it 2. Shut down onto Santorin, but Fudge is now stuck in the box. Alphari does not care about the root. They've got the kill. One man left standing on Cloud9, and Team Liquid gets a 4 for 2.
Very low health bars there, but it would be risky for Sven to try to push forward. I think he wants to try to clean something up here. Sidesteps and he lands the root, but Jensen can bodyguard with the potential scatter, so not going to be able to grab the kill. And as you say, Cloud9 falling behind again in that play. TL grabbing the 4 kills, pulling ahead here. Here is the initial play as CoreJJ comes around the corner, out of sight. The hook lands onto Vulcan, who didn't have his flash available, so despite the gray health, despite the Santa ultimate landing in time, he does get burst down. Blabber then going into this, there's just so much damage getting focused in on top of him. He runs straight in, but he just gets ultimated by Jensen. Everyone turns on him. They burst through the Olaf before he has time to really get any value out of his Gore Drinker and all that healing that he is building towards here.
And then you can see they want to stick around. They see, hey, we got 3 guys. They got 1 guy. That 1 guy has plenty of range. Your dudes are not looking too healthy right about there. So yeah. TL cannot complete the ace. Damage dealt in the last fight. It's Sven, who is the overall #1 place by 1,000 damage. But it's Team Liquid who walk away with the win as they worked better as a team. Everybody, even CoreJJ, topping 1,000 damage in that fight. CoreJJ did more damage than the Olaf in that fight.
I mean, the Olaf just blew up, right? And that's why we saw that they wanted to go towards that Karma top last time. It was less about the Karma and more about the Olaf being able to emphasize the strength that is going to be Blabber, who's going to have all this gold, who's going to farm like a beast and get to that really, really strong point. But if he can't survive, if he doesn't actually have time to get value out of that healing, he doesn't really do anything. And when you pop your ultimate and you run in and you don't have a Senna there to actually save you, you are in trouble. Jensen just ults you and looks for the knockdown. They're going to try to find Jensen here. We'll see if he can get a counter kill.
See, talking about being in trouble. Yeah, when they spend Tom Kench ulti, Senna ulti, and Olaf ulti, and send all 5 players down to murder you, you are indeed in trouble. Now, of course, the reward for setting that up is they can take that Drake. They already have 2 stacked up. They're getting the 3rd for free as well. Normally, this is when you start to see teams contest for the Drakes. But Blabber will get this one. Absolutely nobody from Team Liquid even in the neighborhood. TL's response will be to take the Rift Herald instead. But now this creates a very uneven map state in terms of the neutral objectives, because Team Liquid will have to fight every subsequent Drake to prevent the Infernal Soul while getting minimal rewards in the form of just 1 piddly little Infernal Drake bonus themselves if they succeed.
Yep. That being said, they have gotten themselves a nice comfortable gold lead. They're up above 3,000 gold lead at this point, and we'll see just how strong they can get before that inevitable fight does happen for Soul Point. Cloud9 has all their vision focused down on that bottom side, 3 pink wards in the river. They know this is where they want to focus, and it's likely going to come down to that next fight. Unless there is a pick before it, you know Cloud9 is going to be there. You know they're going to be looking for it. and we'll see if TL can force out any key ultimates prior to the fight, because I do think that Cloud9 really is running a composition where everything wants to be used together. You want the Olaf running in as the Malphite ult, as the Senna ultimate comes over top, to give you that survivability with that shield so that you can get the Gore Drinker off in the middle of a lot of people and really start to sustain and run over that fight.
Cloud9, with those 3 Drakes, though, they're 4 minutes away from that potential win condition here of the Infernal Soul. We'll track how the map looks closer to that, but right now, there's still nothing to take in neutral territory. 90 seconds away from a Baron. It's not like if you win a big team fight right now, you'll get a whole lot from it. You can see Team Liquid does have a 3 turrets to 1 turret lead overall. Cloud9 still having to take down the tier 1 in mid and bottom, and it's that mid lane tier 1, Isaac, that really feels like it opens up so many opportunities to push further into enemy territory, set down vision, and look for pins.
Exactly. You don't really have that kind of bastion of safety in mid lane to allow yourself to venture out from there to get wards, right? We can see that Cloud9, though, is heading down towards Fudge. They're going to look for this. Fudge still has his ultimate available. Will they go for this dive? I think so, but nice sidestep on that barrel.
Alphari flashing away from the Malphite ulti, trying to get an outplay there, but 3v1 is just too much firepower. They secure the kill, they get the Gangplank ulti, but now TL is shoving down mid lane looking for the tier 2. Yes, C9 should be able to take the tier 1 in bottom, but a T1 for a T2 is not an even trade. Shelly's being left to hit this turret, but they want to make sure that they don't leave it alive by just a sliver, so they send Aphelios back in there. Tactical picking up some of the money on that one, and TL heads back out to safety.
TL is just really good at making these cross-map plays. You know, not only did they push in mid, but Jensen's getting damage down top. They're going to lose some minions there. They're pressuring elsewhere every single time they get attacked, and that's one of the advantages that you get from having a top laner is winning by this much. You know, he's 60 CS up, he went a call that is cashed out, he's playing GP, so he's printing extra money, and he's going to be very far ahead in that 1v1 as a result. Fudge also is going for the chem tank. Like, he's not going for a 1v1 item, he's going for an item that is about the engage, right? And as a result, Alphari is going to bully this guy. He's going to draw multiple members. And as long as TL is pushing the other lanes at the same time, it's honestly fine if you die. If you are pushing up and you're drawing 2 to 3 members to you, but they're losing jungle camps, towers, you know, everything like that on the other side, you can often just go positive on the play without even getting a kill.
Loving the double Grievous for Santorin and Alphari here too, being able to deal with the heals coming out from both Olaf and Senna. Really want to be ready to take down Cloud9 in these big multi-man fights, because we are now 90 seconds away from that 4th Drake of the game. Cloud9 will want this one terribly. And Perks will use his teleport to get into position immediately. As C9 want to push out the mid wave, they'll do just that. They'll have control over this bottom side river, and it's Team Liquid who will be forced to check, or Team Liquid might just walk up there to the Baron and say, all right, we're going to force you to respond to us, because that Drake's not spawning for 60 seconds. Baron's up now.
So here's the thing, as long as C9 can retain some vision in that area, you can just have one member actually solo the Drake, you know, just send Blabber down there, try to have the 4 poking away and zoning TL out of that Baron pit. Because if they go into that Baron pit and they're getting poked by Perks for free, it can be bad.
Oh, this is a huge engage for Cloud9. That was perfect. Team Liquid did not do what they needed to do right there, and C9 punished them hard. 3 for free, and they're going towards Baron.
Santorin dies as well. He was trying to dive into the backline onto Sven, who was isolated, but he's not able to kill him off. Perks is zoning here for any potential chance at a steal. Let's watch this one more time as the sleep lands. Cordier stacks up to try to peel, but that just sets up for the perfect ultimate from Fudge. Right as Olaf is running in, the ultimate lands. Sven lands the Senna ultimate on top of that too. And then Perks, using the stolen Gale Force, it looked like, is able to set up for that kill. And now they're TPing in. They want this dragon. They want Soul and control of this game.
Jensen's locked down. Jensen's about to die. He's stasising. Consider that the golden trophy. Congratulations on your Infernal Soul and Baron for Cloud9. This game is now in their control solidly. Wearing purple, having the Infernal Soul. That catch on Team Liquid, grabbing the 3 kills, is the moment that changed this game. That is when the pendulum swung, and C9 is feeling great about it.
And this is the first time it truly feels like Cloud9 has control in a game. where they are feeling like they're moving towards a win here. The gold is still even, but they have a tremendous amount of power right now from those neutral buffs. And when you look over at some of their champions, they have some pretty easy ways to actually apply the Infernal Soul. You look at Perks, he's already playing with the Ludens. You essentially have a double Ludens proc on any poke that you're able to land over onto TL. And with the incredible amount of range that Sven has, who's almost at 100 souls, by the way, so he has very long attack range, you can also proc the Infernal Soul really, really easily.
And Cloud9 will now get to sweep across the map and take a bunch of standing gold in turrets. I expect these guys to have 5 or 6 turrets by the time this Baron fades away. Team Liquid will do whatever they can to try to answer this. Tactical must be wary of Zoe Bubbles and Senna Roots and everything flying after him here on this Aphelios. He's only got the Severum and the Gravitum, red and purple for people who don't know the names, because I'm surprised if I got them right. But that's not the long-range gun. You need the green one if you want to have the range. So he's got to back up, really play this one careful. T2's not worth dying for. And there it goes. Cloud9 tying up the turret count, continuing this march down the mid lane.
Yep, and Fudge on that side lane, pushing up here. He doesn't have a lot of damage himself, but just providing the Baron buff to those minions is enough to have pressure here in this side lane. And Alphari is in a really strong spot in that 1v1, but he knows they don't have control in their own jungle, so he's got to be careful.
1v1 don't matter if the whole team is coming to collapse on your defensive position. Alphari continues to fall back, and although Fudge's CS is bad, yeah, he's a Malphite versus a Gangplank. He's going to lose the lane. 2-1 and 4 on the overall score line. The big Malphite ulti right when they needed him to be able to hit it to get them to that Baron. This is easily Fudge's best game so far.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's played a strong game thus far, and he has the ultimate ready to go. He's trying to zone TL back away so they can't wave clear. But the GP ulti
going
gets
after it,
dropped.
but a nice flash away from Tactical. Sven's ulti takes half of his HP, and Blabber takes the other half. Tactical's off the board, Santorin's at 1/3, and that means Cloud9 can take this inhibitor by force.
They're going to grab it, and they're not going to push for the win here. It's not going to be one of those TL-style games, just ending it immediately. They will back it up and try to spend this gold here. Actually, Tahm Kench ulting over to take that red buff away, maybe going to steal some of these additional camps, also get that added bonus for Sven, picking up the additional souls that will drop from all those jungle camps on their side of the map, and Cloud9 extending themselves to a very nice gold lead here. We'll have to see if TL can try to do something to turn this game around, because Cloud9 is inching closer and closer to their first victory in this series and to being the first team to even take a game off of this TL roster.
And here's your replay of Tactical and his initial flash. That was really nice, but then look at how much damage the Senna ulti can do. And then, hey, heard you like playing AD carry. Here's Olaf.
Yeah, Olaf flashing in on you. No flash available for him. He needed to take that lantern a little bit earlier. I do think it was down on his feet, but he was high on health, and then all of a sudden, you're just dead. You gotta be getting max range away from that Olaf, man, as he does some frightening damage.
Cloud9 are looking great here in this game, Azael. Cloud9 fans probably breathing a pretty big sigh of relief right about now, looking at a game that no longer appears to be going the direction of a 3-0 sweep for Team Liquid. Remember that C9 did pull off the entirety of the reverse sweep against 100 Thieves to get here and play this game today. So we'll see if they can work that magic twice in the same weekend. Last remaining Tier 2 turret for TL will get demolished here. Cloud9 looking to break into another lane of inhibitors. Let's see if they can do it. Santorin's at half HP, lands the sleep down onto Alphari. Eating them oranges or not, the boy's still incredibly low on HP. Cloud9 does not care about the fact that they got no minions because they got all 5 players, and they'll take down the Tier 3 turret up here. Inhibitor the next target, but they must be prepared. Alphari's back up to having a good amount of HP. Team Liquid is ready to defend, but Fudge is going in and he finds the knock-up. He finds Tactical, and the backup from the carries is enough firepower to get it done. Blabber continues chasing forward after Jensen. The inhibitor is taken down. It is a 4v5 on the map, and Cloud9's going for even more. Perks gets himself away, but he lands the sleep. Sven with the auto attack to get the pop into the kill on Santorin. It is a 2v5. Cloud9 working some magic here in the lock-in finals. They should be able to win this game right now, barring a miracle from Alfari and Core JJ. It's C9 not going down without a fight. It's C9 going for the win, and it's C9 taking game 3.
Oh my God, Cloud9 battling back after it was looking like it would be that 3-0 for TL, so dominant in those first 2 games. Sven had a monster performance here, but really Cloud9 as a whole playing very well. Blabber with some really intelligent pathing, getting way ahead as far as the farm and the jungle matchup. Fudge, yes, he's losing the 1v1. Yes, he is outmatched individually by Alfari, but he had great impact with those Malphite ultimates in the team fight, and that is what you were looking for from him. And Sven had so many souls, so much damage. We saw those Senna ultimates. It wasn't just about the shielding. It was doing, like you said, almost
it kills you
of people's health with that Infernal Soul. It was insane. So Cloud9 looking much better. I think Perks, even though he did go down a number of times, we were getting to see him play aggressively, move around the map, harass Jensen, and really, I think, had a stronger game for himself here too. So a lot of things working there for Cloud9. We'll see if TL can now adjust anything and bounce back a little bit here to try to close out this series.
Yeah, big applause to both of the solo laners for Cloud9 because they were the ones that made that play that changed the course of the game possible, right? It was the sleep onto tactical from the Zoe that set it up, and then with Core JJ trying to body block for him to stop the Paddle Star, it's Fudge that sees that as a go button, as a huge green light for the 2-man ulti. By the time that's happening, Santorin's already in the wrong spot thinking this fight is still salvageable, and he dies too. That Baron, plus the Infernal Soul they were able to take right after because of Blabber's good setup throughout the entire game that you mentioned, brought Cloud9 the momentum they needed to send it all the way home and go for a win. Now we got to toss to a break here yet again, but thankfully we are not done with League of Legends for the day. So once we get back, the State Farm Analyst Desk will break things down for us about the Cloud9 win in Game 3.
Don't let the comfort fool you. Don't let the attention to detail lead you to believe that a Honda is a delicate machine. You'd be wrong. Underneath every surface that carries a Honda badge, there has always been the capacity to amaze. From the core of everything we have ever built, all the way to the top of where you want to go. Rise to the challenge with the rugged performance of the Honda Pilot, Passport, and Ridgeline.
Welcome back to the LCS after a game number 3 in our final series of the LCS lock-in. Cloud9 are determined to keep things interesting. And I think the entire LCS community is very grateful for that, as it is officially no longer in sweep territory. First things first, Emily, you had some thoughts about the draft last time. What did you make of it this time?
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out that once again, we see exactly what C9 want to do, right? They're sticking to what did work for them, what did previously win them a series, and they're tweaking it a bit. And now you have Zoe who, you know, fit a lot better in this team composition. We saw Perks getting off those really crucial sleeps. Zoe is incredibly annoying if she's just bopping around a team fight and you're 5v5ing. And then we have Malphite, whose job is to probably lose in lane and then set up 5v5. So, you know.
Yeah. I was going to chime in on the Malphite point because it's a similar idea of like you're picking a team comp oriented champion, but it's less volatile a little bit than some of the enchanters where like you're getting solo killed and all this kind of stuff. And like Malphite's always going to have that R button. He's a little bit harder to take advantage of in lane because if he gets in trouble, you can always R backwards towards your turret. So overall, I like the options that the champion gave, and then you got to see it actually come in huge over the course of the game.
Well, the thing is here, too, it's perfect in scenarios when you're facing low mobility carries without dashes. And guess what? Aphelios and Syndra are just the prime targets for Malphite. So while you lose a little bit of healing and shielding for your Olaf charging in, Olaf also likes dive buddies and CC to set him up. So it is still in the same vein of getting initiation and hard CC for Blabber, you know, for this target. Even better scenario if Perks can land the bubble first and make it easy for the Malphite ultimate to land, and then they can win the entire team fight and the entire game off of that. But I really like the pivot here to putting Fudge on the Malphite. It's a similar team focused pick, but you're not going to die so much in lane with it like with the Karma.
And then the final thing I just want to say is that this doesn't mean that TL's draft was bad. I think it was actually really good. This is a great team composition. I just wanted to say that when we talk about draft, we're talking about what does C9 want to do and how did they execute it. And they were able to execute those 5v5s really well.
And speaking of what C9 wants to do, Kobe, we got to see Blabber on the Olaf once again.
Every time we have a Blabber game, take me into some early jungle. Let's get it, because this is actually after they go for the invade. When Blabber has Olaf, he's always looking at strong lanes to go for invades with. He invades on blue with the bottom lane, but then instead of normal cutting the map, he goes across mid lane. Usually you'll have to transition into your red quadrant, get red buff or your Raptors, but he cuts across because Perks is pushing mid with this Zoe, allows him to section off Santorin into one quadrant of the map. That early on is actually just an insane early jungle gap. He just utilizes this Olaf so well. Even though they deliver him his first loss ever on the champion in the last game, I don't think you can continue to give it to him. He's so good at it, and Cloud9 are very good at playing to his strengths.
I mean, there's a reason that we were looking at these junglers and their head-to-head going into this match. And as far as what was going on a bit earlier in the game, Mark, top is where we got to see some action.
Yeah, I think one of the things I like about Cloud9 is when they go for team-centric plays, which is why I like the globals, and the fact that they're willing to move around the map to do it. Earlier, Sen and Vulcan, used the Tahm Kench ultimate to mid lane to find a kill. Here in the top lane, they double TP in. They don't have global champions, but they're still playing around their TPs very well to punish TL's lanes. And I love this, and I think it's something that you're going to have to keep seeing them do. I think they have to go towards more 5v5 oriented comps, because in straight 1v1s, we've seen them struggling over the course of the series. But if you can make odd man plays, if you can show up with more people, then it's not 1v1s and 2v2s anymore.
One thing we saw the team do was, like, we saw TL, and they're basically mitigating a lot of these losses through side lane play. Like, you make this play top side, we're going to take, get Aphelios a lot of time with turret bot. You make a play bot side or go for dragon, Gangplank is going to get a lot of time top with the turret or whatever. But then it crucially came down to the team fight execution, and we now see that the main team fight that we want to talk about is that mid lane one, which I think we're gonna start rolling in a minute. But like they basically get on to, yeah, here we go. So you have this composition, and previously we were talking about how TL really tried to keep all of C9 separate, right? This time, every single member of C9 is here. All it takes is a single sleep, and then bam, Fudge is just going in, and this is exactly how this team comp is supposed to work. It scales, Senna specifically, just scales remarkably well. And the fact that Perks is on a champion where he can, like we said previously, set up these kind of 5v5 insane team fights where everything works together. This is how we saw Sven getting his Misfortune pentakills, right? When everything is hitting, you can layer CC, you can fight as 5, and we saw it work for C9 again today.
Yeah, and this is where I actually did not like that Team Liquid didn't have a lot of tools to use proactively for themselves. It's so simple for Cloud9. They have 2 unstoppable frontliners, Malphite and Olaf, both with their ultimates can just go straight through anything. You see Corjay JJ with some of the limited CC that they have. Oh yeah, try and CC that Olaf. He just turns on ultimate, immediately charges right towards you. So it creates this kind of pressure gap that the Cloud9 squad is constantly throwing out low cooldown bubbles. You can fish. It doesn't cost you a lot to try and set something up there, and then you just charge forward.
Yeah, I love this tweet from Huhi. We've seen this before.
Sweep coming.
Yeah, in recent history, and I mean, when speaking specifically about Cloud9's ability to push this the distance and for an overall series win in a Game 5, I know that Emily at the top of the day was talking about how Blabber was saying in their interview that a lot of that comes down to the communication improving over time. We spent a lot of time, Mark, looking at what Cloud9 up until this point can do better in the next game, but it is a bit reversed as we look at Team Liquid taking to blue side and trying to find a way to break through this team coordination that we're starting to see.
I liked a lot of the points that Kobe and Emily are making about TL seems to have better macro in terms of playing around side lanes and a little bit individual skill, and I would like to see them go more towards that even, worry a little less about team fights and make sure you have some more mobility and playmaking on those champions so that when they're in those 1v1 isolated situations, you have an easier time finding kills and stuff like that. I like that about Team Liquid. I think C9 has to keep going for globals and larger number of plays because they get outplayed in 1v1s, or Team Liquid moves around the map better and passively grabs more turrets over the course of the game. So I want to see Team Liquid even index more towards that. I love split pushers for Alphari right now. Maybe they should go back to that a little bit more than the GP, who's more team fight, weak side oriented.
I wanted to add one thing from that Blabber interview that he did joke that Mithy basically said the team that has more globals wins. So we'll see if that stays true in the series.
We have potentially a couple more games to figure it out. Currently 2-1 in the series. Team Liquid pulling ahead. After this break, we will have game number 4, so stay tuned.
Introducing Fantasy LCS. Live now on the Sleeper app. Create a league. You are the coach. Draft your ultimate LCS team. Plan your roster and make coaching decisions each week. Compete against friends throughout the season. Rep your team, talk trash, and see if you've got what it takes to win your league. Download Sleeper now. The fantasy season begins on February 5th.